this review I'll be reviewing, as you can already see, is Halo Combat Evolved for the original Xbox. It was released back in 2001, kicking off Microsoft's new console at the time, and they started off very strong with this one. Developer Bungie made a perfect example of making a regular story in a video game feel epic and thrilling, with very innovative uses of AI, level design, an amazing music score, its mixes of mechanics and gunplay, challenge and difficulties, and is smart in creating a very innovative use of introducing us to the mechanic of rechargeable shields.
Show me what you got! Oh.
In Halo, you're basically a green-suited super soldier killing aliens, with an overshield that protects you from enemy fire, and you play as John 117, also known as the Master Chief. He's kind of like a silent protagonist, but he does speak within the cutscenes, almost like he only speaks when needed. The story of Halo is pretty simple. Your ship jumps from lightspeed only to reach a random destination, and you manage to stop near a giant, mysterious Halo ring world, and the enemy of the Covenant happen to know what the Halo is. You end up crashing on the ring and your adventure starts there, and after the Master Chief discovers its secrets, he then tries to blow it up, then he actually succeeds. The game tells an interesting story not only through its cinematics, but through its gameplay too. Whether it's shooting a particular enemy, driving a vehicle from point A to B, or flying a Banshee, the pacing for the game is really well done. Each level has its moments, and it's a sight to see when it all unfolds. It also has probably one of the greatest endings to being able to race to the ending. Literally. Now onto its gameplay, design, and sound design. The gameplay and mechanics are pretty standard for a traditional FPS story title. But the greatest mechanic the game has is the use of only having 2 weapons at a time, simplifying the control layout. And back then, a lot of games used to have that old Doom-like layout of having a huge assortment of weapons at once. But with Halo, they made it simple. With that reason alone, you would have to make some tough choices to get past some of the levels if you were on a harder difficulty. And the pacing each time you progress on a level felt perfect, and to me it shines through both story and gameplay. On the sound design for guns, vehicles, grenades, etc., every gun had a real feeling of weight to them. They all have a real oomph to them. And every time you drove in a vehicle, the sounds were real enough to immerse me when I started to run down enemies or go off on a cliff. And the mechanic for the overshield is also an impressive addition. It'll make a sound indicating if you need to find cover, or if your shields are getting too low for combat, or if you don't have any shields at all. And it was pretty clever for the developers at Bungie to make this. It really nailed down the game and the atmosphere. Moving on to the game's AI, the AI is probably the cleverest AI I've ever faced against in a video game. If say you were to throw a grenade at an enemy, they'll most likely evade the grenade in a split second, and they'll even jump out of the way if you try to run them over. Even the dialogue from both enemy and ally AI all seem to be very well-rounded, realistic tones to them.
You're a sight for sore eyes, Chief. We're in a bad way. We've got wounded here.
When you kill a leader in a group of enemies, or slaughter most of them, grunts will actively run away in fear from you. Or you can catch some funny dialogue sequences from the ally AI, like how good of a shot you really are. Or to question you why you just killed another good soldier. Or why you killed Captain Keyes.
What the hell are you doing?
Security to the bridge. The Master Chief has gone rampant. Take him down, boys.
The music in the game also has one of the most iconic pieces of music in gaming history. The music will change every so often to fill in the mood it's going for. For example, in the mission The Silent Cartographer, it's a heart-pumping rush of energy you get when you first land on the beach. You and your allied soldiers battle it out against the Covenant, with of course an epic score. Then if we go to the mission The Library, it has some tighter music with faster beats, giving an uneasy or randomness similar to how the enemy flood react to you when they're against you. The music also adds some moments with the feeling of dread, like when you find Captain Keyes molded into the part of the flood pod, and it puts you in the shoes of the Master Chief. The music is very memorable, and it highlights a lot of the emotional values in different scenes and the way it's composed.
The multiplayer in the game is really fun too. I've always had a blast playing this back in the day, and still today, it still holds up really well. For the online gameplays, it wasn't really meant for online, so a lot of the spawn points are a little ridiculous, but I'll let them pass since it's an old game that came out before Xbox Live existed. Anyway, the level design in the game for the multiplayer is pretty memorable, and is well executed in how each level was made. Some are masterpieces like the classic Blood Gulch and other maps that are in the game, like the map Battle Creek. And the weapon places were actually carefully considered of where each power weapon would be, or item. Power weapons like the rocket launcher or the shotgun. Bigger maps contained vehicles, while smaller ones focused on PvP action. And most of the maps are fairly well balanced overall. Halo CE is one of my favorite video games of all time. With the experience I've had with it, it's a beautiful game I would hugely recommend to anyone who enjoys first-person shooters or even for its story. And the added multiplayer I mentioned is always fun too. The developers at Bungie really made a classic here, and it shows through in the game. And that's it for this video. I've hoped you'd enjoyed my review as I did making it. Thanks for watching.